What's up, everyone? This is TJ, your electrical engineer on Up Ohms, my channel where I discuss electrical engineering, stuff that I experienced as a student and early in my career. I'm still early in my career, but between the first 5 years is what this channel is going to talk about. And in this video, I'm going to discuss two things: GPA and internships. These two are talked about so much in college that it feels sometimes like a scare tactic put on a student, because if your GPA is too low, you're not going to get a job. And if you don't have an internship and your GPA is good, you still aren't going to get a job. And that's a bunch of baloney. It's BS, because GPA doesn't matter. And what really matters is how hard you're working, what you do in college, like projects, what you learn, and what you can bring to the table for a company that interviews you. So in this video, let's get started with GPA. GPA is important. Don't think it's not. But it shouldn't be something you break your back for constantly. There's a lot of classes that you're going to be taking, whether that's electromagnetics, you're going to take circuits, you're going to take chemistry, physics, all these classes. If you're not used to it and you didn't do any pre-AP in high school where they were advanced, it's going to be a culture shock. You're going to go into there, and like me, in my other video, I talked about how I was a music major and I switched to electrical engineering. That was a huge change for me. I got 3 C's and a B my first semester in as an electrical engineering major. And the B was in calculus, but everything else was a C. And my GPA was a 2.4. Count it, 2.4. What's wrong with my finger? 2.4 is terrible on paper. There's no job that says must have a 2. It says must have a 3 GPA to get a job with them. So I was in total panic mode. I was hitting the books harder. I went to professors. I tried to get better grades. And I only focused on GPA for junior, senior year. And I didn't have an internship. I forgot about those. They're important. I would say hold an internship over having a better GPA. Because if somebody gives you a chance, they can end up being the person that offers you a job at the end. And you don't have to worry about trying to compete with other people based on GPA. If you want to go into a big tech company like Google, they have millions of people applying all the time. How do you stand out? They're going to weed out GPA first. If you have less than 3, you're not even going to get moved on. And that's unfortunate. And sometimes there's people that have high school degree that can get in based off of their projects and experience. That's a different filter, I believe. I don't think GPA is that important though, because there's a lot of companies that aren't big tech companies that do good work in a lot of industries for electrical engineering, and they can give you an opportunity, and they're not going to look at GPA. They're going to look at who you are, because once you get that interview, you sell yourself, you show them how hard of a worker you are and all the steps you're doing to get your degree, and you can get a job. It's not going to be, oh, you had 2 jobs and you have kids and you're balancing everything, but your GPA is under 3. I'm sorry, we're not gonna do that. No one's gonna tell you that unless you're Samsung. Because I interviewed, no shade at them, but I interviewed for Samsung for an internship, and they told me my GPA was too low. I qualified for everything else. I had a 2.9. I'm not joking, a 2.9, and they said no, it's too low. So yeah, some places are gonna hold nitpicky, but it's because they have a lot of people. And in the smaller like startups and firms that are contractors, they just want somebody who's going to work hard for them. That's what they care about. So don't hold GPA to like a high standard. And for me, going from a 2.4, I happily can report I ended with a 3.23. Yes, I'm going to include that 0.03. I ended with a 3.23, and that didn't really matter because I didn't have an internship until my last semester. And I got that internship because of a friend of mine. Comes down to that, unfortunately. It's who you know. It will help though. And you can do this naturally. You don't have to go out and be friends with everybody. But all these people that are graduating in your class, or they're going through the same classes, everybody struggles in some part of that subject. Make study groups. Learn from each other. argue over theories or what professor said, what they didn't say. That will build a relationship that's like above a friendship because it's a professional one in the making. You don't even know it yet because if you help them out, they'll help you out and back and forth. If they get a job quicker than you and you apply to that company, who knows what position they're going to be in by the time you applied there? They might help you out. That's what happened for me. A good friend of mine, we were studying all the time like crazy, building our GPAs together, and he got an internship first, and it was our senior year. And I was still trying to find something. I was working at Costco. I was pushing carts for 8 hours outside, and that was a good experience because I used that in my interviews, but no one was giving me the time of day to go forward. And they weren't talking about GPA, they were just talking about they have a lot of people and I didn't have experience compared to the other interns that were trying to get into their job. So it comes down to experience is what I want to say. And that's more valuable than GPA. My friend, I've been helping out, he ended up telling me, hey, reapply to that same place that you didn't, that I'm at, and I'll try to get you in. And he did. He got me in as an intern, and he was still an intern, but he put my name more at the list saying what I'll be able to help them with. And that's what they cared about. They saw that I could bring something to the table that I didn't know they actually did that in that job, and it had to do with programming. So I got into a programming in the utility sector as an intern, and they offered me a job right when I was going to graduate. So you never know what can happen. You got to stay hopeful. And yes, GPAs are good to motivate you, but don't memorize, regurgitate, and forget. That's a Cal 2 professor of mine told me, everybody studies, memorizes everything, spits it out to pass, and moves on. You don't want to do that because there might not be heavy calculus in your job, but there could be the process of how we studied calculus that could be in your job. And if you memorize things, how are you going to apply that to a job? So what's really important is to actually learn and study. That's the key. And when you do that, you'll end up better at the subject. And if you can teach it, even better. So what I want to recap is internships matter, but if you don't have one, don't fret. You know, it's going to be all good because somewhere along the line before you graduate, you can still land one. And if not, go hard on the entry-level jobs. Start applying to everything. They're called entry-level for a reason. They know you don't have experience, and somebody's going to give you the chance. Just make sure you've been working throughout your classes and doing the projects, doing the work, and put that on your resume. Everything you did in school, you can put it on there, especially if you can talk about it freely with a potential employer. So that's my advice. If you like this one, give it a thumbs up, and it helps with the algorithm because this might be helpful to somebody who's starting out in engineering or was a senior like me and struggling to get an internship. So let's help each other out. Feel free to comment below. You can email me. I still have plenty textbooks from my journey. You can shoot me an email and I'll send to you. Even if the editions are different, you know, a lot of material carries over. It'll help save you some bucks. So yeah, you feel me, Ohms?